Hey friend, welcome back to the Holistically Well podcast. Today we're talking about the first 4 weeks postpartum, a season that is often rushed, misunderstood, and deeply undersupported in modern motherhood. Instead of covering the first 40 days all in one episode as I was initially intending to, I'm going to intentionally break this season down into smaller, more digestible conversations because postpartum healing deserves nuance, space, and reverence. If we were to pack this all into one episode, it would be about 3+ hours long. So we're going to break this into monthly tidbits. And today we are covering weeks 0 through 4. Now, these weeks are all about the foundation. This is the part that quietly and gently determines how well your body heals, how your pelvic floor recovers, how your energy returns, and how supported you feel stepping into motherhood, which has a huge impact on your emotional health and well-being. Now, currently, I am just shy of 4 weeks postpartum myself with baby number 4. And this postpartum season has truly been the most supportive that I have felt. Now, I think that is because of a few things. Number one is perspective. With the 4th child, I know how quickly this time goes. And so it's been so much easier for me to lean into rest than it was with my first child whenever I never had to step back like this before. And I just wanted to jump right back into my typical lifestyle. Now I have the perspective that this time is so fleeting with our little ones, and I have no problem sitting or lying down with my newborn baby, holding him, nursing him, just cuddling him as he does a contact nap, and being fully present with him during his awake windows. So as a mother, you will realize how quickly this time truly goes, even though when you're in the thick of it, it can feel like so much and that it's never ending or that it is exhausting. And so the more that you can allow your body to rest and to really restore its foundation, as we're going to cover today, the better you're going to feel physically, mentally, and emotionally. Now, the reason I feel like this has also been easier for me this time around is because of the support we have around us. We moved from the city back to our hometown, and I have just been amazed by the amount of difference that has made in terms of having both my parents and my in-laws both just a minute down the road. We have my husband's siblings in the town as well, and then just a lot of family, friends, and friends who have been so willing to help. My husband, for the first time, also had 2 weeks of paternity leave, which was an absolute blessing. And we are having our sitter come in 2 days a week so that I can continue to rest and focus on healing and my newborn as we also acclimate our other 3 kiddos to a new sibling. So I want you to know that it's okay to ask for help. It's okay to accept help. And we're going to move through it all in today's episode of Holistically Well. Now, why do the first 4 weeks matter so much in terms of the physiology of healing? Now, I am an orthopedic and pelvic floor doctor of physical therapy. And so the physiology behind all of this, the science behind it is super important to me. One of the most important things women are rarely told is that after birth, the body is actively healing a dinner plate-sized wound inside of the uterus, right where the placenta was attached. The healing doesn't happen through willpower or motivation or by just working through it, right? It happens through rest, allowing the body to direct blood flow to that area, and for the nervous system to feel calm and safe. Think of a scab healing on your kneecap or on your knuckle. If you kept flexing your knee, if you kept bending your knuckle, it's going to reopen that scab, and thus healing is going to be delayed. That scab's going to have to reform to allow the skin beneath the scab to fully heal. That's exactly what's going on in our uterus with this dinner plate-sized wound. The more you're up and moving, the more you are bending and lifting, the longer it's going to take for that scab to fully heal the tissue underneath it. The more you're up and active, the more we're going to see an increase in bleeding. And this is why we're told to decrease our activity if we see an increase in bleeding, because there's a huge wound that needs to heal internally. When we push too much too soon, such as going out on a longer walk, standing for hours, meal prepping, or just doing housework and jumping back into normal life, we are increasing our intra-abdominal pressure, disrupting clot formation, and slowing uterine involution or healing. So rest is not indulgent. It's not bougie to be able to rest postpartum. It is a biological necessity. And that is something I wish I could shout from the rooftops for all women to hear. Because I think we feel a guilt around asking for help or resting postpartum, when in fact it is a biological necessity. And if we look back at our ancestral roots, and even if we look into other countries in present day, women are so protected that first month postpartum because it is understood that the biology is needing to heal internally, even if externally you're feeling really well physically. As I mentioned, we've had a lot of help this postpartum, and I've really leaned into that without any guilt and without feeling like it's extra or, a privilege to be able to rest, or that I had to earn this ability to rest. No, this is a time that you should feel required to rest, that it should feel a given. And I know that is not the case across the board. I know there are many instances when we can't and we have to do what we have to do to survive, and that's okay. Give yourself grace, of course, but also understand that it is biologically and physiologically necessary to heal that internal wound. And the more you do, the more it will delay that wound healing. Now, let's jump into pelvic floor recovery. As an orthopedic and pelvic floor PT, this is, of course, my direct wheelhouse. In the first 4 weeks postpartum, our pelvic floor recovery is not about strengthening. A lot of women think, I just had this huge expansion. Now I need to focus on strengthening and doing things like Kegels. No, this is a time about reestablishing communication between your breath, your nervous system, your brain to muscle connection, and the pelvic floor. After pregnancy and birth, whether you had a vaginal or cesarean delivery, the pelvic floor is responding to this increase in tissue stretch. Now, this is important to note that even if you had a cesarean delivery, the tissues of the pelvic floor were also stretched during pregnancy, just because of that increased downward pressure as you put on extra weight from carrying the load of baby. So that pelvic floor has had extra give, has had extra stretch, has had extra load, no matter if it had a vaginal delivery or not. Of course, with a vaginal delivery, we have a huge expansion of those circular muscles to allow for the delivery of baby, which leads to additional vaginal or pelvic floor change. Now, the pelvic floor is also responding to hormonal shifts. The drop in hormones immediately postpartum is the greatest hormonal shift of any human being ever, okay? Across the entire lifespan. And so that is going to affect the way those muscles contract and relax. And then, as I mentioned, changes in pressure management, both of the load of pregnancy, but also the absence of load. So postpartum, those tissues have been really used to managing pressure from the load of baby. And now that that load of baby and placenta is gone, those muscles are trying to figure out how to adapt. Now, this is why Kegels are not appropriate early on. The tissues don't need more strengthening. They don't need more gripping. They need to learn how to lengthen, how to relax, how to improve blood flow and circulation, and to optimize coordination with our breath so that they can better automatically support you as you return to more functional activities of daily living post the first month postpartum. Now, this is where breath work is key. 360-degree breathing or diaphragmatic breathing becomes absolutely foundational. When we inhale, we want to allow for expansion through our rib cage, belly, side ribs, low back, and pelvic floor. We are restoring length to all of these tissues. And then as we exhale, we just want to allow for a gentle recoil. Think of a balloon losing its air. We want to reduce this protective tension and tightening that these muscles have had from the changes of our posture during pregnancy and from the changes of going through childbirth. This is where I also introduce gentle mobility. I love to include gentle spinal mobility and then rib cage alignment exercises during this phase of healing, especially because when we're feeding and nursing baby, it creates so much upper body tension, which is going to affect changes of pressure management into our pelvic floor and our core and healing of things like diastasis recti. Thoracic rotation, rib cage expansion, and simple positional changes can really help ease tension patterns in these areas that directly affect the pelvic floor. So right now I've been sharing a movement series on my Instagram. If you head there at Dr. Kayla Borchers, you'll see week 1, week 2, week 3, etc. of me sharing gentle mobility and breathwork exercises that I am doing to help reconnect with and restore connection of the pelvic floor and the deep core in this first phase of postpartum healing. So definitely check that out if you haven't seen it already. And of course, in my postpartum movement program, this is where I give you the entire breakdown, the all access pass to reconnecting with your pelvic floor, your deep core, and easing tension, restoring mobility postpartum. And you can find that at drkaylaborchers.com/postpartum. Now, let's talk about how the body is reorganizing itself postpartum. One thing I wish more women also understood is that postpartum is not about getting back to your body. It's about allowing your body to reorganize itself and giving it the time and the appropriate progressive exercises to do so. Your organs had to completely shift out of the way for your growing uterus and your growing baby. So right now, your core canister is completely recalibrating. Your intestines are having to shift back into appropriate alignment. Your diaphragm is having to come back to its typical doming. During pregnancy, our rib cage widens and our diaphragm flattens, and that changes the way we breathe and the way we move. And so everything internally is having to shift around and find its place again postpartum. Now, instead of rushing this, we really can't rush it. It needs time, and it's allowing the space for the body to have that appropriate nervous system regulation where it feels like it can tap into the rest and digest portion of the nervous system to allow those internal organs to settle back into place. Now, this is where I really love in-person pelvic floor physical therapy, because we can do myofascial release and manual therapy of the abdomen to help those internal organs find their resting home again. It's called visceral mobilization, and it feels amazing. So if you're struggling with just feeling tension, if you're not quite regular in terms of bowel movements, some myofascial work on the abdomen with a pelvic floor PT can be really life-changing in this healing timeframe. In my postpartum program, I also go over how to do that on yourself from the comfort of home so that you can start that healing process on your own without having to go somewhere and schedule an appointment. Now let's tap into how rest truly is medicine, tapping into our nervous system and our hormones. True postpartum healing happens when the nervous system feels safe. We cannot be in fight or flight mode or overstimulated to allow optimal healing to occur. Rest allows the body to shift into our parasympathetic state. This is where tissue repair, digestion, hormonal signaling, and milk production all function more efficiently. When we stay in a constant upregulated state, a state of go, 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 rushing, overstimulation, the body is going to prioritize survival, not healing. Now, this is something worth repeating, and I think something all modern women need to hear, that the body is going to prioritize survival when we are overstimulated, when we are in a constant state of doing and not resting. The body will prioritize survival and not healing. Now, rest does not mean doing nothing all day. It means reducing unnecessary output so that your body can direct energy towards its repair. Think of that dinner plate size wound in your uterus that needs to heal and repair. We need rest in order to do it. So again, that doesn't mean doing nothing all day. It means reducing unnecessary output so that your body can direct its energy towards repair and healing. I absolutely love that note, and it's something that I have been saying on repeat to myself. If I am sitting on the couch and nursing my baby, or if he's sleeping on me and I look around the room and I just see everything that needs picked up, remind myself that's not what I need to direct my energy towards right now. My energy needs to be directed towards my own healing, towards nourishing my baby. The rest can wait. This is not the season for the perfectly clean house. If it is, with help coming in, great. If you don't have helping hands, let some of those other things go so that you can prioritize your body's rest, your body's healing, and thus show up as the best mother for your child through allowing optimal nourishment to flow. Nourishment, time to tap into that. So nourishment in the first 4 weeks. I want to talk about why warm foods matter. Now, across traditional cultures, postpartum nourishment centers on warm, cooked, mineral-rich, broth-based foods. And there's real physiology behind that. Warm foods improve digestive efficiency. They reduce metabolic demand and support blood flow to healing tissues. Whereas cold or raw foods require more digestive energy, which pulls resources away from our recovery. This is something we simply can't afford postpartum. That's why I have absolutely loved broth-based soups in this early postpartum season. Now, I gave birth on New Year's Eve, so my postpartum season is through the dead of winter. My first baby was born in July, and so that was a very different postpartum season where a lot of soups didn't sound great, right? But there are lighter soups you can make, such as a ginger turmeric broth-based soup with like a chicken bone broth and some chicken, some rice, some celery, some carrots, all in there. So it's a lighter soup versus a more dense soup like a chili that we might have in wintertime. So we can still adjust it even if you're having a baby in the summer to get those warm, nourishing foods for really the first 4 weeks. That's the time we want to prioritize these warm foods for recovery, because the goal is that by the end of those 4 weeks, we've allowed the body enough rest and enough time for healing that that dinner plate sized wound is healed. So at the recording of this video, I am 3 weeks postpartum and my bleeding has stopped. Now, whenever we push it, some women will bleed for up to 8 weeks postpartum. Well, that's continued blood loss and a continued open wound internally, right? So the faster we can slow so the faster we can allow the body to repair and heal by prioritizing everything we're talking about in these first 4 weeks, the better. And nourishment is certainly part of that. It's going to be the building blocks for our recovery, not only of our uterine lining, but also for our pelvic floor, for those muscles, for the connective tissue of our abdomen, for that connective tissue's elasticity as we want a diastasis to heal. This is important for all of that. All right, hydration and electrolytes. Plain water is not enough in this postpartum season. We have huge blood volume shifts. We are still losing blood potentially. You have lactation demands for milk creation and then tissue repair. And these all are going to increase our mineral needs, especially sodium, potassium, and magnesium. Now, these are the 3 minerals that are needed for fluids to get across our cell membrane barrier. I personally love Element, LMNT, because of its breakdown of sodium to potassium to magnesium. Now, there are a number of electrolyte brands out there. I will link Element in the show notes. I do have a link where you can get 12 free samples with purchase so you can try out different flavors. My favorite is watermelon, and then I'd say raspberry, and then citrus. So I have at least 1, if not 2 packets of those a day so that it helps my water get into my cell membranes, get to where it needs to go in my body, and that it's not just simply peed out. Next, I want to move into supplements and supportive nourishment. Now, supplements are the bridge between just our regular diet and getting all of the nutrients that we need. Getting a full amount of nutrients from diet alone to support postpartum healing would be extremely, extremely difficult in today's culture. The reason is that our soil quality is not what it was for our ancestors 100 years ago, right? So we need this safety, this backup plan of supplements to make sure that we're getting all of these micronutrients to optimally support our body. Now, here's what I've been including the first 4 weeks postpartum with my 4th child. 1 is chlorophyll. I'll put about 2 tablespoons of chlorophyll in 8 ounces of water, and this is helpful for blood building and natural detoxification pathways. Next, I am including beef liver. I will do 3 pills in the morning, 3 pills in the afternoon. This helps iron levels, vitamin B12, and vitamin A. So particularly during the active bleeding phase of when that internal wound is healing, I would definitely make sure you're including beef liver to get that extra iron. I love using Perfect supplements. You can use code Dr. Kayla for 10% off with them. Everything is third-party tested. It's a great, great company that I love using and supporting. Next is collagen and or protein powder to help with that connective tissue repair. So we mentioned the diastasis recti, like wanting that linea alba to come together and the connective tissues to heal there. So that's where we need those protein building blocks. I will use collagen and or protein powder in my coffee every morning. I absolutely love it. It is delicious. I'll use protein powder if I want to add some flavor. Right now in January, I have been loving the candy cane one from Taylor Duke's Wellness. You can use code Dr. Kayla there too for 10% off. And then if I don't want any flavor added in, then I'll just use a scoop of collagen from Perfect Supplements as well. Next, I take my Full Well prenatal. Yes, I still take a prenatal postpartum to just get that full array of micronutrients. It continues to have things like choline, which yes, we can get from eggs, but we want to make sure we're getting the optimal levels. And again, it's just that safety net to make sure we are getting absolutely everything that our body needs and our baby needs through our breast milk. Another great amount of vitamin within the Full Well is vitamin D. So especially in winter, I want to make sure I'm getting enough of that. And then I'm actually giving that to my baby through my breast milk as well. So Full Well prenatal, I can also link that in the show notes for you. And then finally, Beekeeper's Naturals Probiotics is the other supplement that I am including that's just going to support gut health, immunity, and then vaginal health. We want to avoid any kind of UTI or infection down there. And so having good probiotics is going to help that. Side note, during pregnancy, being on a really good probiotic can reduce your risk of developing a positive test to group B strep. So I love continuing good probiotic for vaginal health during this postpartum season where everything's still healing down there too. So in closing, the first 4 weeks postpartum are not a test of resilience. How much can I do? How quickly can I, quote, bounce back? No. The first 4 weeks postpartum are an invitation to slow down, to allow your body to heal deeply, intentionally, and well. When we protect this window through rest, through gentle reconnection with our breath, through warm, nourishing foods, we are giving ourselves a foundation that supports not just motherhood, but lifelong movement and health. So if there is anything you can gift yourself in this postpartum season, it would be rest, support, saying yes to anybody who offers to help with older children, who offers to bring you a meal, who offers to come over and do some laundry while you take a nap with your baby. Say yes. You will not regret it, and your future self will be so, so thankful that you leaned into rest right now and not doing more. Now, if you need additional support in this postpartum season, that is exactly why I created Holistically Well Postpartum. It guides you through week by week with not only movement and breath work to reconnect with your pelvic floor and your deep core and gentle mobility exercises to ease tension, but I also pull in holistic health education. So things like how to baby wear without back pain, how to dry brush to reduce postpartum swelling, nutrient and supplement information to optimize your healing there. And then things like posture and lifting mechanics to help avoid pain. My goal is to help you stay feeling good so we don't have to backpedal and be reactive. And you can find all of that information at drkaylaborchers.com/postpartum. I am here walking through this season with you, with my 4th child, and if this episode resonated with you, please share it with another mama who deserves this level of support as we walk through a holistic approach to postpartum healing. Until next time, take care and be well.